Good evening and welcome to the regular city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, and at 6:30 p.m. Regular meetings are generally held on the first and third Tuesday of each month in city council chambers here at City Hall. City Clerk Assistant, please call the roll.
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Winstead.
Present.
Councilmember Otto.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johns.
Here.
Mayor Genoway.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight we have one closed session item. We will now take public comments on the closed session item. City Clerk Assistant, are there any requests to speak?
No, Mayor.
Public comment is now closed. City Attorney Smith, will you please read us into closed session?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The council has one item to discuss in closed session tonight. It's a conference with labor negotiators to give instructions to them under Government Code Section 54957.6. The negotiators slash representative that the council will be conferring with is Justin Martin, Assistant City Manager, and the organization with which the city is bargaining is the Orange County Employees Association.
Thank you very much. We will now recess into closed session.
Or you can use
I'd like to call this meeting back to order at 7 p.m. City Attorney Smith, is there any reportable action from closed session?
No, the direction was given, but no reportable action taken.
Thank you so much. We will now move in to our public meeting. I'd like to invite Chaplain Serena Cummins of the Orange County Sheriff's Department to provide this evening's invocation, followed by Browning Girl Scout Troop 1493 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise.
Good evening. Would you please join me in prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, what a privilege it is to collectively and openly come before you in prayer, to live in a country that allows each of us to worship you as we choose, and to be free to take an active role in a city that many of us call home. As the Laguna Niguel City Council meeting begins, I ask for your hand of grace, wisdom, efficiency, and respect to be evident here this evening. Scripture mentions that wisdom comes from having a wide range of advisors, and so I thank you for the leadership that you have set in place to lead this city. May their expertise, professionalism, and individual callings be used for the greater good of the community. May the community members who have chosen to be here tonight have their dedication and value recognized as well. And as I always ask, please watch over our first responders and all law enforcement personnel as they move forward in their callings to serve and protect. It's with a humble heart and great respect I pray. In your name, amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Cummins. It's great to have you back here in Laguna Niguel. And now, Browning Girl Scout Troop 1493.
Audience attention, color guard advance.
Face the mayor, face the mayor, face the mayor, face the mayor. Okay. Present the colors. Color guard, present the colors.
Color guard, present the colors.
Honorable mayor.
Would the Honorable Mayor, City Councilor, members, and audience please join the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Audience may be seated.
All right, great job. We're going to join you down in the well and take some photos. We'll be there right in a minute.
Good.
Job. You did wonderful, wonderful job. Here, other hand. Wonderful job. All right, so why don't you tell us your name, what school you go to, and your favorite part about being a Brownie Scout.
My name is Coco, and I go to Marion Bergeson Elementary School. And my favorite thing about Girl Scouts is when we go to a sleepover.
Hi, my name's Caitlin. I'm 8 years old. I go to Annalee Schools. It's in Laguna Beach. And my favorite thing about Girl Scouts is selling Girl Scout cookies.
My name is Natalie. I go to Marion Bergeson Elementary School. My favorite thing about Girl Scouts is camping.
Very good. Well, you all did a wonderful job. Thank you for coming to City Hall tonight to present the Pledge of Allegiance. We're all really honored that you're here tonight. Now let's get some photos before we do the dismissal.
Leaders?
Oh, and leaders, please come up. Here, leaders, come up, introduce yourselves, and then we'll get some photos. Yeah. Please introduce yourself.
Tammy Glidden. I'm one of the leaders for the troop.
Jackie Beaumont. I'm also co-leader for the troop.
Great. Well, thank you for volunteering your time to lead these girls in the troop. All right. Now, are you going to dismiss us?
Color guard dismissed.
All right. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. No. We will now move on to public comments. Any person wishing to address the City Council is respectfully asked to complete and present a gold-colored request to speak form. These forms are available at the counter that is located near the entry door of council chambers. Please be aware that the time limit will be limited to 3 minutes for each person to speak. This is a time for members of the public to share comments with the City Council. The Brown Act does not allow the City Council to respond to speakers at the meeting. However, City staff will follow up and respond to questions or provide information as needed. Speakers will be called in order for the request to speak forms. From the request to speak forms, to allow equal time for speakers, minutes may not be given to another speaker. You may have another person read your written statement. City Clerk Assistant, I have one request to speak on the discussion item number 1. Are there any requests to speak for items that are not on the agenda?
No, Mayor.
All right, seeing none, public comments are now closed. We will now move on to our consent calendar. Are there any items to be pulled from the consent calendar? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the consent calendar? Motion made by Councilmember Jennings, seconded by Councilmember Winstead. Members, please vote. The motion is adopted, 5-0. Thank you. We will now move on to our discussion item, which is the approval of installation of 10 one-way stop signs within the Niguel Hills neighborhood. Public Works Director Scott, will you please introduce this item?
Yes, thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The item before you this evening is the Niguel Hills Neighborhood Traffic Study recommendations. Before we get into the study and the recommendations, I would like to give a brief history of the neighborhood concerns and city responses. Over the past 10 years, residents of the Niguel Hills neighborhood have expressed concerns about high speeds on La Plata Drive, which is a residential street that intersects Crown Valley Parkway. The posted speed limit on La Plata Drive is 25 miles per hour. In June 2015, the City Council approved the installation of centerline striping along La Plata Drive to address high speeds. In June 2016, a vote was taken of affected residents for speed humps installation along La Plata Drive. The results of the ballot did not meet the minimum 67% support required to install speed humps on La Plata Drive. In November 2016 and January 2017, traffic circle concepts were discussed at the Traffic and Transportation Commission meetings as traffic calming measures on La Plata Drive. The countermeasures were not explored further due to lack of support from the residents. In December 2021, a resident requested traffic calming measures on La Plata Drive during the public comment portion of a Traffic and Transportation Commission meeting. Since that meeting, oversized speed limit signs and speed limit pavement markings have been installed on La Plata Drive, which resulted reduced speeds by nearly 2 miles per hour. Speed feedback trailers have been routinely deployed on La Plata Drive on a rotating basis. Increased police enforcement resulted in as many as 19 citations in a single enforcement period. It has been observed that many of the speed violators reside within the La Plata Drive neighborhood. Outreach and education to the neighborhood by city staff, included Orange County Sheriff's Department deputies, was increased. A series of public meetings in February, March, and April 2023 were held regarding a development proposal to construct and operate a new assisted living and memory care community at Grace Church, located on La Plata Drive near Crown Valley Parkway. At the meetings, resident comments and questions mainly focused on existing traffic issues in their neighborhood, in particular, speeding on several streets within Niguel Hills. In response to the traffic concerns shared at the Grace Church development meetings, staff recommended edgeline striping for La Plata Drive. This recommendation was discussed at the April 2023 Traffic and Transportation Commission meeting. Edgeline striping is a traffic calming measure used to narrow the travel lanes for vehicles, thereby inducing drivers to lower their speeds. Many of the residents who spoke during the public comment period were not in favor of the edgeline striping and requested alternative traffic calming measures on La Plata Drive, traffic calming measures on other nearby residential streets, and more public outreach to the neighborhood. During the meeting, the commission selected one of staff's alternative actions and directed staff to perform a comprehensive traffic calming study for the Niguel Hills neighborhood in lieu of installing the recommended edgeline striping. In September 2023, the City Council awarded a contract to RK Engineering to conduct the traffic study and public outreach. The scope of the traffic study was expanded to not only include La Plata Drive, but to also include the entire Niguel Hills neighborhood, which consists of over 480 homes that are not managed by a homeowners association. Unlike previous attempts to resolve issues one street at a time, this traffic study took a holistic approach to address the entire area. I will now turn the presentation over to Brian Estrada from RK Engineering to go into the details of the traffic study.
Thank you, and good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Brian Estrada with RK Engineering Group. RK Engineering Group has over 38 years of transportation engineering experience here in Orange County, and we have completed numerous traffic calming studies for residential communities like Niguel Hills. And I'm proud to say that Niguel Hills is one of the most comprehensive studies that we have ever done. I'd like to quickly thank the City Council for allowing us the opportunity to work on this project. I'd also like to thank the Public Works Department, in particular, Ms. Scott and Ms. Kathy Kelly, for their leadership and support, as they both were instrumental in making this project a success. I'd also like to quickly thank the Orange County Sheriff's Department, who attended all 3 town hall meetings and provided critical information for our analysis. Most importantly, I want to thank the community residents. The project would have not been possible without their involvement and feedback, so thank you. We began this project in September 2023, and over the last year and a half, we've worked hard to ensure that all tasks outlined by the council in the original RFP were completed. The map here shows the boundary of the Niguel Hills neighborhood. Our study area included over 20 roadway segments and intersections that we analyzed for traffic calming. One of our primary goals of the study was to ensure that we took a collaborative approach to traffic calming, and that the recommendations reflected the community's concerns and preferences. Their comments guided our analysis. To achieve this, we placed a strong emphasis on community feedback and making ourselves available through many different channels. We had a dedicated email address and phone line, which I helped personally attend to. City staff maintained a website, and we regularly uploaded important dates and information for the project. We met residents in the field to personally discuss issues. We had 3 town hall meetings, which allowed us to meet with residents face-to-face, and a survey was distributed to gather residents' opinions on what types of traffic calming features they would like to see in their community. We also had several different types of outreach material, including lawn signs, voting packets, and postcards. The purpose of our analysis was to provide a holistic and comprehensive traffic calming study for the neighborhood. To do this, we took a very specific approach that was defined by the city's RFP. This included gathering resident feedback, performing field reviews, reviewing traffic collision data for approximately 5 years, reviewing speed surveys, collecting cut-through traffic counts, and analyzing always stop warrants. 3 town hall meetings were held at Grace Church during the duration of the study. These meetings allowed us to meet face-to-face with residents, understand their concerns, and present our findings. Our first town hall meeting introduced the traffic study. We talked about what traffic calming is, what it isn't, what are some of the constraints and limitations of traffic calming, and the engineering standards we have to follow. During the meeting, we received a ton of great feedback from residents. We had a poster board that residents were able to put push pins in and show us locations where they had concerns. And we were able to really hone in on some of the key areas for the analysis. After the meeting, we held a LiDAR demonstration, which for those who aren't familiar with LiDAR, it's like radar, and it's the same type of device that police use for enforcing speed limits. After town hall meeting number 1, we got busy collecting and analyzing traffic counts, and town hall meeting number 2 was held in September 2024 to go over the analysis that we had done. We provided a progress update and went over all the counts, speed surveys, collision history, cut-through data, and analysis. We also had open discussions and feedback about potential improvements, and we informed residents about the neighborhood survey that would be going out. The survey was a brief questionnaire that asked residents for their opinions on how they felt about different types of traffic calming measures in their neighborhood. After the survey went out, we met again in November 2024 for the 3rd and final town hall meeting. Here we shared the results of the neighborhood survey and presented our initial recommendations for the community traffic calming measures. This exhibit shows the feedback we received from the residents throughout the study process. We received over 185 comments, and each colored circle represents a different traffic-related concern. As you can see, 33% of the issues were related to speeding, and this map provides a good visual of where many of the issues are located within the community. This slide shows the results of the speed survey data. The yellow boxes highlight areas where the 85th percentile speeds exceed the speed limit by 8 miles per hour or more. These are considered excessive speeds for a residential neighborhood, and we see that many of the areas that show the excessive speeding correspond to the areas of concern raised by the residents, in particular along La Plata Drive. 5 years of collision records were reviewed as part of the study, and we found that during the time, a total of 11 reported accidents occurred in or adjacent to the community. Collision records are used to identify specific areas of concern and justify multi-way stop control. We found that several different types of collisions occurred within the community, including unsafe speeds, improper turns, right-of-way violations, pedestrian-involved collisions, and drivers under the influence. However, the minimum number of crashes required to warrant always stop control or a traffic signal were not met at any of the study intersections. The key finding from the study are that excessive speeding is prevalent at multiple locations within the community. The data confirmed exactly what many of the residents have been saying. Also, cut-through traffic is not significant. This neighborhood is not being used as a shortcut for vehicles to get to and from Crown Valley and Golden Lantern. That concludes my portion of the presentation. Once again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak for you here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. The report recommended implementing a comprehensive traffic calming plan that includes the installation of 14 speed humps, addition of new signing and striping, trimming and ongoing maintenance of overgrown landscaping, and providing focused traffic enforcement. These measures aim to reduce vehicle speeds and enhance pedestrian safety. It should be noted that speeding was not the only traffic-related issue raised by the residents of Niguel Hills. Other concerns included sight distance and overall traffic control. The final recommendations from the study addresses multiple issues, with speeding as the primary concern. Recommendation number 1 is the installation of speed humps. The city's residential traffic management policy requires a vote by the affected property owners on proposed speed hump installations. Each property owner in the entire neighborhood was provided an opportunity to vote on whether or not they support the installation of all 14 speed humps strategically placed throughout the community. According to the Institute of Transportation Engineers Guide, published in December 2022 for Speed Hump Projects to Succeed, it is critical to obtain support of a substantial majority of all residents in a neighborhood considering these treatments. The city's residential traffic management policy contains the minimum thresholds for community support as a means to reinforce resident participation. The policy was initially adopted by the City Council in 1993 and was last updated in 2005. The policy requires that a minimum of 50% of the ballots mailed shall be returned to the city for overall voting process to be considered valid, and a minimum of 67% of the valid individual ballots must support the installation. Per the policy, this supermajority is designed to provide long-term stability on the issue. A simple minority vote could cause frequent shifts in support, resulting in continuous competing petitions and requests for votes to install or keep or remove the humps. Ballots were mailed on February 4th with a deadline to postmark or drop off ballots to City Hall by February 28th. To remind property owners to vote by the deadline, lawn signs were installed throughout the neighborhood and postcard reminders were mailed to each property owner. The policy requires that a minimum of 50% of the ballots mailed or returned to the city. In this case, 301 of the 495 ballots were returned, exceeding the 248 ballot requirement for the 50% threshold. Of the 301 returned ballots, 255 ballots were valid. To move forward with the installation of the 14 speed humps, 67% of the valid individual ballots, or 171 ballots, must support the installation. There was a total of 151 yes ballots, approximately 59% in support, which is less than the 67 mandatory minimum requirement to support the proposed speed hump installation. There were not enough votes to support the installation of speed humps. Even though speed humps will not be recommended by staff for installation, additional traffic calming measures were identified in the study that could reduce speeds and enhance safety. These improvements were designed to work together in a comprehensive fashion to address resident concerns throughout the neighborhood and are recommended for approval as one complete package. Recommendation number 2 is signing and striping. Several intersections were reviewed where residents reported sight distance issues. The study data concluded that striping improvements at the intersection of La Plata Drive and Vista Plaza Drive to enhance sight distance and safety are necessary. Painted curb extensions, a shifted stop bar with a red reflective post, and a new high visibility Continental crosswalk are required at this intersection to meet traffic safety standards. The engineering design plan has been completed and is scheduled for installation this summer. The study recommended centerline striping along streets such as Via Portola and Vista Plaza Drive. These streets are too steep to be candidates for speed humps, but they could benefit from striping improvements. One-way stop signs are also recommended to regulate right-of-way at 10 intersections in the neighborhood where sight distance is limited. Installation of a stop sign on the minor street should be considered when restricted view requires motorists to stop in order to adequately observe conflicting traffic on the through street. Edge lane striping and a new center two-way left turn lane are recommended on La Plata Drive between Crown Valley Parkway and Vista Plaza Drive. This new striping will narrow the travel lane area of this wide roadway approaching Crown Valley Parkway. The two-way left turn lane also provides a longer left turn pocket for future development of Grace Church. Recommendation number 3 is landscape trimming. The study identified several areas where private landscaping should be trimmed back to enhance sight distance in intersections. Staff will be coordinating with the individual homeowners to request trimming. This is a common request within residential neighborhoods throughout the city, and most homeowners and homeowners associations are cooperative and provided the needed trimming. Recommendation number 4 is focused enforcement. Enforcement hotspots were also identified during the data collection phase of the study. The Orange County Sheriff's Department has been providing enforcement as time and resources permit and will continue to provide traffic enforcement to manage speeds in the neighborhood. At the April 23rd, 2025 Traffic and Transportation Commission meeting, the Commission reviewed and unanimously approved the proposed Niguel Hills Neighborhood Traffic Study recommendations. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council approve the proposed signing and striping improvements and approve the installation of 10 one-way stop signs within the Niguel Hills neighborhood. The city has been working with the residents in Niguel Hills neighborhood for over 10 years regarding traffic issues and most specifically speeding concerns. As detailed in this long history, the city has implemented significant measures to manage, control, and enforce speeds within the neighborhood. The traffic study logged, categorized, and considered each and every concern and complaint from the Niguel Hills neighborhood. The study was in-depth, detailed, engaging, and it is now complete. City staff monitors traffic patterns throughout the city on an ongoing basis and will make suggestions or adjustments as future conditions may dictate. While speed hump support in the neighborhood did not meet the mandatory minimum 67%, staff is recommending that the City Council approve the comprehensive plan before you in tonight's presentation. That concludes our presentation. City staff and RKA consultant staff are here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Director Scott. Are there any questions from the council for staff? All right, Councilmember Otto.
Thank you for that report. So I have studied this extensively. I went to one of the neighborhood meetings, I think 1.5 of the neighborhood meetings. I've read the material, reviewed the ballot, listened to the audio from Traffic and Transportation, but I still have some questions, and some are for me and some are for the public to try to walk through some of these issues. It's a long-standing issue, so I want to make sure we get it right. So here are my questions. It's my understanding that the addition of the stop signs are to help with line of sight issues. Is that right? And not necessarily, it can't address speed issues on some of those streets. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Councilmember Otto, yes. So the stop signs are in response to many concerns raised at the town hall meetings related to traffic control within the neighborhood and sight distance concerns. The stop signs would help regulate traffic at these intersections and improve that condition.
Okay, great. Thank you. In your metrics, do you account for a certain percentage of potentially unreported accidents? How do you handle that?
So this study, this neighborhood study that was conducted was a data-driven engineering study. So unreported accidents are not included. So projecting unreported accidents would then diminish the overall quantitative analysis within the study.
Absolutely. How do you, I mean, do you have a sense of, when you do these studies, is there a certain percentage that you can guess would be unreported? Or, I mean, how do you handle that? You just don't put it in the data. I understand that. I wouldn't want to start guessing. But
absolutely. So we do listen to residents, of course. Yeah. It's important that their feedback is taken into account. So just holistically, when I hear residents convey to me of an incident that concerned them that isn't confirmed by an accident report that's then submitted to the Sheriff's Department, I'm able to carry that information as I go through the rest of the analysis and see if somehow that might influence a future recommendation. So it is information that we do holistically will keep in mind and consider.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, so my next question is kind of a follow-up to that, because there was a resident that spoke about multiple incidents of cars ending up in front yards. And so I just wanted to make sure we're tracking that, but it sounds like we are holistically keeping track of that. Based on the current study, is there an intersection that would qualify, or what intersection would qualify for a four-way stop in the future? I heard a resident suggest that at one point.
So the study included a all-way stop control analysis at a number of potential intersections. What we found through the study And Brian, if we need to elaborate a little bit more, I might have to rely on Brian. But none of the proposed intersections of concern met the minimum traffic warrants, including accidents, volumes, pedestrian movements, and the other criteria. So we were unable to find a intersection where that might be a good fit for this recommendation.
Right, okay. And it sounds like in our discussions, we're far off from it as well. It's not
The
something
traffic
that's-
volumes would have to at least double in this neighborhood to start qualifying for an always stop control. There are other criteria other than traffic volumes, but the accidents and the other criteria were not even close to being met either.
Not close, okay. Do speed humps slow traffic? I've heard, it slows traffic by 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then I've also heard people tend to speed up in between them. I mean, what's the consensus on that?
Both things are true, absolutely. It is, people do slow for speed humps, and then oftentimes when they get on the other side, they speed back up. So yes, it is known to reduce speeds in and around the speed hump where it's installed, and then you can see increased speeds in between them. So yes, both those things are true.
Okay, and then it's my understanding now that we couldn't put speed humps on some of these streets because the grade was too steep and it would be dangerous.
Yeah, there
correct?
is an engineering design criteria that any street over 6% is too steep for the installation of speed humps for driver safety.
And that's why we didn't even begin to propose those in those places.
In lieu of the speed humps, we did have some other recommendations, the striping recommendations that are in the report. So that is in lieu of the speed humps and can help those streets with some of the speed control that's needed.
Okay. Can you just explain for us in a little bit more detail why there's such a high voter threshold to pass for speed humps?
Yeah, I think the city's policy is very clear on the reasons why. It basically, as neighborhood demographics shift, as people move out and move back in, if you stick to a simple majority, you could get a neighborhood that 5 years ago was highly supportive and, at 51%, but then all of a sudden it's dropped down. The support has dropped down, and so you get a competing petition coming in saying, we don't want these anymore. So it's for long-term stability, long-term support, and acceptance of the dramatic change within the characteristic of the neighborhood.
And then I understand in our packet that back a while ago, we did look at traffic circles. But you also looked at them again for this study, right? Preliminarily?
It was brought up and discussed at the initial town hall meeting. The conversation focused, because the traffic circles received such little support back in 2017, there were only 6 letters of support that the city received from the entire neighborhood. So really the focus of that conversation was more on where a median might be able to help the neighborhood in lieu of a circle, but the circles were brought up at the first meeting, and it was also talked about that it just wasn't supported back in 2017, and there was no indication that the attendees were resurrecting a new support for it that hadn't been there before.
Right. It's my understanding, as a side note, that we don't currently have bike lanes on many of these streets, but a biker could use the area where the edge line striping is, and that would be an okay option for a biker, a bicyclist?
Absolutely. So in a residential type neighborhood, vehicles and bikes will have to share the road, and a painted edge line stripe could provide that sort of refuge for a bike.
Okay, great. And just one more question on the multi-way stop. It's more than, if I hear you right, because the multi-way stop did not meet, it wasn't just based on collisions. It was based on volume as well.
There's volumes, also PED, the amount of PED crossings are considered as well. So there's a number of criteria, and none of the criteria were met.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem Johns.
Yeah, Councilmember Otto, just so you know, as far as the multi-stop section, whether they're warranted or not. If you go to 6.1, it's all listed right there and lays it out for you.
Thank you. I'm speaking for the residents so they can hear me out loud.
Gotcha. Thank you.
They get the thought process. Thank you.
All right. Well, I had a fun time reading through this almost 500 page agenda packet. Thank you for that, Director Scott. It was more information than I ever thought I could learn about the Niguel Hills traffic patterns and speed on different streets. And, coming on to council a couple of years ago, I thought, oh, you just put a stop sign where you want one. You put a speed hump where you want one. I had no idea that there's actual engineering rules and state laws and warrants that guide all of these things and restrict what we're able to do. So I know this is just the question period, so I just wanted to say all my questions were answered with your almost 500-page agenda packet. And if anybody in the public wants to learn more about all the work that's been put into this over many years, take a look at that agenda item. And if you want to see where the stop signs are proposed and where the striping is proposed, take a look at pages 22 through 25 of the PDF that's attached to the agenda. All right, we will now move on to public comment. And I have one gold slip, City Clerk Assistant. Are there any more?
No, Mayor.
Okay, so the one person who's asked to speak, I had a feeling I would see him here tonight. Drew Hall, come on down.
All right. Hey, guys. I'm very blessed to be the one person from our community that's going to follow this through to the end. This is a long-standing issue. It's going to continue because we've proved one thing, that there is a speeding problem. So to Ray, to your point, we've got to figure out what to do. It takes 500 pages, and still we're seeing the study showing that we've got a tremendous speeding problem. So we've got our hands tied a bit, right? We all wanted the vote to pass. It was 59%, not 67%. I agree with the supermajority policy. I think it's the smart way to do it. The affected area, I think, is a consideration that we might want to redo when this comes back in a year or so. One of the things I thought that was really funny from the Traffic Commission meeting was the chair of the commission said, I drive this street every day. And it made me think, she's a resident, she's affected by the speed bumps. Should she have had a vote? And if I would love for you guys to take a look at where the votes came from, because there's one street with a speeding problem, not the cul-de-sacs. So for them to get a vote to basically say, why would they want one? It makes no sense. So I tried to write some stuff down just so I would stay on track. Study proves there's a speeding issue. Consultants' recommendations were excellent. They're comprehensive, but a number of those things actually aren't making it forward. So there's a gap in what the consultants said we should do. So we need to figure out how to fix that. Number 3, I think you guys should approve what we've got in there, right? We might as well try, but please study it later. Let's see if it works. And if it doesn't work, let's keep working on it. 500 pages, there'll probably be more because the top thing said 14 speed bumps. We're getting 0. What if it were 5? What if it were 8? Like, I don't know, but I think there's some work to do, and you can, we'll show up, I'm sure, in the future. Police enforcement was one of the things that's in that recommendation. I really appreciate the police coming here. I live on the street every day. After that first meeting 2 years ago, there was a motorcycle cop there, grabbed 19 people in 2 hours. It's like fishing in a stocked pond. Haven't seen him in 2 years. Okay, so please hold them accountable because they will work. And we won't have to go over bumps if we just put a cop there for a little bit. Number 5, we've got to revisit this policy. There was some serious confusion on how the vote was going to be managed, and I was the guy that called the office and said, "Can we get some interpretation and guidance here?" Still not clear what's in that policy. I see we went with what I read it to be, which was 50, then 67. But there's a lot of work that can be done. What are our neighbors doing? What's the best practice and how this should be? Because there are rules we've got to live by. Let's make sure staff is held accountable to the commission and the council's suggestions. 20 seconds. We'll continue to come back because it's not done. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Well, the study is done. Agreed. We can close it. Right? There's no more study. Let's see if the speeding is done. Okay? Please measure it again in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and let's see if we fixed it. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hall. We appreciate your input. All right, we have no more public comments. So public comment is now closed. We will take motions and then we will have a discussion. Is there a motion to approve the staff recommendation? There's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Johns and a second by Councilmember Winstead. Discussion. Who would like to begin? Councilmember Winstead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, I wanted to share that I've been involved with this project for 10 years, for the whole entirety that it's been an issue to the residents on La Plata and the surrounding streets. I remember sitting on the Traffic and Transportation Commission as the vice chair when this became an issue. And I remember hearing about the road bumps and being in favor of the road bumps, and nothing ever happened, nothing ever went through because the residents didn't want the road bumps to go where they were going to go. So it was just going to be on La Plata. I remember listening to the residents at the time, and some were opposed to it, a lot of them were in favor, and it's just, there's so much history with regards to this. Something needs to be done. In my opinion, the staff recommendations we should definitely go with that. We should take a look at it in the future, see how staff recommendations are playing out, how it's being addressed. I also have a concern with the policy. So, Mr. Hall, yeah, point well taken. The city's policy regarding the installation of road humps is 20 years old. And so we should definitely look at what other cities are doing and take a look at their policies, maybe see what is the best of ours, the best of theirs, and at some point in time, not now, let's let things sit for a little bit and see how the staff recommendations are going and how that's affecting the neighborhood. But I think we should definitely have something on our radar to take a look at that policy.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you. I just want to thank you for your comprehensive study. Director Scott, to you and your team, you guys did a fantastic job. You turned every stone, so I really appreciate it. I know you've been working on this for a very long time, and it's not going to stop. You'll continue to monitor it. So thank you for all your hard work and effort and having all the town halls and giving the voice to the people. So really appreciate all that you've done. And I think the recommendation is great. So thank you very much.
Councilmember Otto.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, one of our goals, I know all of our goals, is to create a family-friendly space in Laguna Niguel. And we need to continue to do that. And this is one of those things that we need to think about when we decide what to do. I agree with Councilmember Winstead on the policy. We need to update it. I have some, ideas on that. I'll come back to my thoughts on the new policy, though. What I want to address is some comments about how we had 46 ballots that were thrown out, and they were invalidated because of whatever reason. The person wrote something wrong or didn't count, address, what have you, different reasons. So what I did is I calculated to see if all 46 of those ballots actually were yeses, if I just pretended that. So I took you've got 495 total ballots, 301 ballots returned, 46 ballots thrown out. That gave us 255 valid ballots. So if I just assume the 46 were all positive, which I'm sure they weren't, that would give me 197, and I still wouldn't be able to get to the 67%. So I wanted to make sure that even though some of the voices may not have been heard on that, even if they were all yeses, it would have only got to like 65.4%. Really close, but not close enough. So I wanted to make sure that that I thought about that. And then the other issue is, in the ballot, we talk about how if you don't turn it in, it's considered a no ballot, a no vote, which I understand. For us as policymakers, it's difficult because I don't truly know how many people want them or don't want them, because you could have had a bunch of people, not turn it in because they were a no vote. And so I started to think about the other side. if you took the 194, I think, that didn't turn them in, if that was no, if those were all no's and you counted those as no's, you'd only have a 40% approval. So it's hard to get an accurate count on this, and it's always difficult to do a non-binding vote like this. It's very difficult for us to track it. I think our contractor did a great job, and I'm really glad that we had the neighborhood meetings and we tried to get consensus there. I do think we need to tighten up our policy, and I have a few recommendations on that. I think we should require ballot addresses to be typed out on the ballot so that we can have less of those invalid ballots, and we could have a more accurate count. I think when we say approximate location of speed humps, we could give a definition of what that is. When I looked at Newport Beach's policy, they actually won't approve any traffic measure unless the house that is right near it approves it. So they won't even look at it unless, for example, there's a house right there, and there's a speed hump in front of it. They won't even approve the policy unless that person approves it. And so that's something to consider. We need to write a clear policy. I'd like to obviously do it sooner rather than later, maybe after everything shakes out. But I do like the idea, and our policy references this, and other policies reference a petition. And I think a petition is a good thing. And I think requiring a petition is a good thing because it lets us know the degree of how people want this policy to, how badly they want this policy to happen. And so you have this petition and you have the skin in the game. The neighbors have skin in the game. And so it's something to think about. It saves taxpayer money on randomly doing traffic studies in different parts of Laguna Niguel that render no meaningful results. So that didn't happen here, though. We did a study and we got some meaningful results. We did a comprehensive one, and we're going to have stop signs and striping, and I think those are all really good things. These are just some things to consider. I talked about that. Those are my comments for now. I'm going to support, obviously, the stop signs and the striping. This is a big issue for these neighbors, and it's kind of heartbreaking not to be able to give them more and provide more safety there, but I understand how our policy works, and I think we'll work on it, and we'll have a better policy for next time this comes around. Thanks so much.
Mayor Pro Tem Johns.
Thank you. Director Scott, I want to thank you and your people for an outstanding job of putting this together for us. Mr. Estrada, thank you for what you did. This was a long read, but a very important read, and it was very enlightening. So thank you very much for the hard work you guys put into this. I know that we were provided with 4 cities and their policies were the same as ours. There are slight differences, but generally it was the 67% was throughout, and it makes sense. We don't want the majority this time at 51%, which it was 59, but if it was 51% to get the speed bumps in, and then next year that majority changes towards 51% that don't want it, and now we got to tear them out because they don't want it. So the 67% becomes important for that reason, to make sure that the majority, supermajority of the area is in favor of them, and generally that's going to continue to hold, or at least not change enough to where we have to tear them out. I appreciate Mr. Hall being here. You've been at every meeting that I was at back when I was on traffic and transportation, and all the way through to the end, and I appreciate your dedication and the way you're handling this. I too am frustrated that there isn't more that we can do at this point, but I appreciate the way you've handled this. Thank you very much. With regards to police enforcement, I know our law enforcement has been there and will be there. I know we're short on motor cops right now. I would love to get a motor cop out there. I know we've had some excessive speed. I believe that's the fastest that was recorded was 69 miles an hour in a 25 zone, which is just unacceptable. I wouldn't want that on my street. We do have speeding all over the city. We live close together At Park Vista, they speed down that street. It's frustrating. It's just the way the city's set up with these long winding streets, and they're pretty much empty during the day and late at night, and it causes these younger people that want to push the envelope a little bit to go out there and speed. So I appreciate that we all have that frustration, and you've come very close to getting these speed humps this time. I'm hoping that some of this other stuff that we've done will do it, and I know that I've talked with Director Scott and City Manager Letourneau, and I know that we will be doing a follow-up on this to see how effective these things were. And that's it for now, but again, thank you very much for the very comprehensive study. Thank you.
All right. Well, I've had a chance to look at all the information that has been provided, and the 67% threshold seems like standard operating procedure as it goes with various municipalities, for all the reasons that were previously stated, that you don't want the policy of a neighborhood to be speed bumps this year, no speed bumps next year, back and forth with a bare majority. That's just not good for operating procedure in a municipality. As far as the ballots are concerned, and those 40 some odd invalidated ballots, if you look at page 13 of the PDF for the staff or the agenda attachment, there is a sample ballot right there. It's very simple. It's I support the installation of speed humps, or I do not support the installation of speed humps. There's a green thumbs up for the yes. There's a red thumbs down for the no. And you check a box and you mail it back to City Hall. Very easy to understand. The reason why some of those ballots were invalidated is because some individuals checked both boxes. Some individuals checked no boxes. Some individuals sent the envelope back with no ballot in the envelope. And so that's what I understand to be the reason for some of those returns that were invalidated, just in case you're wondering. But anyway, I think these are good recommendations. It might not be everything that some folks wanted in the neighborhood, but it's something. Let's give it a try. We don't have all the answers up here, but we do have an opportunity to give it a try with this new striping and these stop signs. And if we feel like we need more in the future, if speed humps are still necessary, I'm sure we'll be back here having another vote in some time. I'm not sure when that is. It seems like this neighborhood, every couple of years, we do another study. But let's give it a try. And unfortunately, I think speeding is just pervasive throughout not only our city, but the entire region. I think all of us can point to different streets around where we live as individuals and say, you know, on this street, everybody speeds. And I think that's true of La Plata Drive as well. And so I'm going to vote in favor of this, as I believe everybody has stated they will vote in favor of this. So let's give it a try. There has been a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Johns, a second by Councilmember Winstead. Let's vote. All right, the staff recommendation is adopted unanimously, 5-0. Thank you very much. We will now move on to City Council, City Manager, and Department reports. Let's start with Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I've been remiss. I keep wanting to thank Director Scott for La Paz Sports Field. It is beautiful. The bathrooms are lovely. Thank you so much for your hard work and all the new landscaping. It's a wonderful field, so thank you for all your hard work on that. And we had our final youth committee meeting for the season, the school year, and it's such an honor to be part of this committee. The youth have grown. We have a lot of seniors leaving, which we're so sad, but it's fun to watch their progress over the years, and I'm just so very proud of them. We'll have them back to present plaques to them in July, but I'm just so very grateful to be part of that committee. And I want to thank all of our wonderful volunteers, our committee and commission members, and our PAC team. We had the opportunity to honor them all at our volunteer appreciation dinner, and I just want to give a huge shout out to our Citizen of the Year, Mary Smith. It is so well deserved. She absolutely deserved it. And the staff did an outstanding, wonderful job, as did our mayor, it was so fun. It was a great night and so fun to be part of that. And thank you, Director Harmon, to you and your team. It was just absolutely beautiful. It gets better and better every year. So great job to everybody. That is all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Winstead.
Thank you. So I definitely concur with Councilmember Jennings, and congratulations to the staff on that excellent volunteer appreciation dinner. I wanted to also, I failed to mention it earlier, but I wanted to say also to Director Scott, thank you for the great job with the study. It's incredibly extensive. I know you don't want to do that again anytime soon. And also to Mr. Estrada. So at the last meeting, you and your colleague Roger were there and gave the presentation to the Traffic and Transportation Commission. And there was a big audience there. I think it was well received because there was only one person who was commented publicly, and he was there to see the presentation twice. So I just wanted to share that I think that it was an amazing study, that there was a public speaker who was there who was a civil engineer, and he said that in his experience, no other city would go through that effort to actually listen to the residents, do the outreach that Director Scott, you and your staff and the engineers that you did to get the feedback from the residents, try to educate them, figure out ways to solve their problems. So just, great job to our city manager and our staff for doing that and really listening to the residents. I'm going to go to our, back to the volunteer appreciation dinner, and congratulations to all of our volunteers who were nominated, and to Mary Smith for being voted as Volunteer of the Year and also, or Citizen of the Year. Congratulations to all of the people who were recently appointed to the city committees and commissions. Also, wanted to share that Braden of Scout Troop 772 completed his Eagle project this past weekend. Braden replaced the large wooden life rank emblem on the Trail to Eagle in the Niguel Botanical Preserve. If you haven't seen it, it looks great, and thank you for doing that, Braden. Speaking of the Niguel Botanical Preserve, I hope to see you there this Saturday at 9 a.m. for their second Saturday planting event. Afterwards, head over to the Laguna Niguel Library that's right across the parking lot from City Hall for their jumble book sale. And speaking of libraries, tomorrow, OC Public Libraries kicks off their Comic Orange celebration at Laguna Hills Community Center with a legendary author who has captivated generations of horror lovers with their iconic Goosebumps series. Yes, R.L. Stine will be at the Laguna Hills Community Center at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Registration is not needed, but it's recommended to show up early. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Otto.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so glad that we are going to be tracking progress on Niguel Hills neighborhood, and that we're gonna stay on that. And I'm glad that the council supports continuing to make sure that neighborhood stays safe and see what we can do in the future for that neighborhood. So moving on, I attended the Cal Cities Leadership Summit April 23rd and 24th in Sacramento, where I advocated for our residents on bills we support or oppose in line with our legislative platform. I met with Assemblywoman Davies, Senator Blakespear, staff for Assemblymember Cotty Petrie Norris, staff for Senate Pro Tem Mike McGuire, and staff for Assemblymember Juan Carrillo, who is the chair of the Assembly's Local Government Committee. I want to tell you the story about SB 364. I had attended that local government committee hearing on SB 364, which the city opposed, as did Cal Cities. They were the lead opposition testimony in the committee, or they were supposed to be. This bill would take away the city's ability to enforce anti-camping laws, by the way. And Senator Perez received a lot of opposition and pressure to change this bill. And therefore, amendments were floated. I had the unique position to sit next to the Cal Cities lobbyist, and she started getting the proposed amendments on her cell phone. So I was looking through that, and we were waiting and waiting for Senator Perez to come and hear this bill. And there were so many people opposed to it, and or so many cities opposed to it. And there was a text, and we were looking at it, and we're like, I don't know, I don't think that's good enough. We're not sure what that really means, what those amendments mean. So Cal Cities remained strong those 2 days when we met with Senate Pro Tem leaders, staff, and we were asked, what do you think about the amendments? Cal Cities was strong and said, we need to see the language. And I said, we need to see the language. And it was ultimately defeated. It was a really interesting process, and I was glad to kind of watch it in action there. And Cal Cities did a really great job. They ended up totally gutting the bill, and now the bill reads something like, we will support, cities should not oppose community groups to come out and help those in need that are homeless. So it was completely gutted. And so it was truly a victory for our cities. And again, it was incredible to see Cal Cities in action. So I also met with Deputy Chief Insurance Commissioner Michael Martinez, who, by the way, is an Orange County native, to discuss what the office is doing regarding the accessibility and affordability of property insurance, how we can rein in AI, drones, and machine learning. I've talked a little bit about that up here, where we've heard from residents who have their property insurance bill increase or canceled because right after they saw a drone fly over. Well, interestingly enough, the California Department of Insurance is curing over 50% of those. So if you're a resident and you've received a picture, a bird's eye view, looks like it's from a drone from your insurance company, don't just accept it. Call the Department of Insurance consumer hotline and ask them if they can help you to fight that insurance increase or cancellation, because they've been having a lot of success at it. And they have a number of bills that are really helpful too in that same regard. I met with Assemblymember Don Addis, who's the author of AB 303, which would help with our battery energy storage system problem here. The city supports AB 303 with amendments. She graciously met with me. She remains committed to the health and safety of California residents when considering best facilities and the proximities to homes and other sensitive areas. I did get the sense that AB 303 may not get out of committee anytime soon, but the bill is structured so that it could be revived at a later date. I also attended an education session on Prop 36 implementation with Senator Umberg, who has had a long career working on drug policy. Proposition 36 cannot be fully realized without funding. Umberg's bill provides for funding to revive drug courts in places where they were harmed due to Prop 47. He's realistic about the budget situation, but steadfast in his commitment to implement Prop 36, which this council supported. Also came back with recommendations, having seen both AB 647 and SB 79 both pass out of committee when I was up there. And the mayor's since signed letters on those. I'm sure he'll tell us a little bit about those. But AB 647 basically allows for up to 8 units on a lot with on a single family home lot, and disregards public input. So the city is opposed to that. And SB 79 requires cities to approve up to 77 stories near transit-oriented development, again, without public approval. So the city is opposed to that one as well. I have to do a few recognitions here because they're very important. On April 24th, Armenian Americans recognized the Armenian genocide of 1915, as we do every year. I'm a proud Armenian American whose great-grandmother, Shiranush, survived the Armenian genocide and came to the U.S. with her sister, Dikranui. May God bless all Armenians as we remember the horrible atrocities committed against Armenians during World War I and the forcible removal of Armenians from Artsakh. Moving on, the month of May is Jewish Heritage Month and Asian American Pacific Islander Month. We recognize the contributions of both these communities in our city, and we celebrate you. I want to speak a little bit about, I've been very busy, you guys, so I've got a lot of comments. Apologies for the length here. Last week, I had the honor to listen to a panel regarding the 2028 LA Olympics. This will have an incredible positive economic impact in the Los Angeles, Orange County area. It is expected to generate $18 billion in revenue, 90,000 jobs, $700 million in new tax revenue, and multifold increase in tourism for many years after the Olympics. Interesting fact, there are still kids in Los Angeles who are playing after-school sports funded by the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Isn't that something? So I am really hoping we can make Laguna Niguel shine in 2028 to show solidarity with Olympics, increase sales for our small businesses that will ultimately increase our sales tax revenue. And I look forward to working with the chamber on that. I love the volunteer dinner. I thought it was amazing. And I've already told staff they did a great job. And thank you to our commissioners and our committee members for all their hard work. Final note, happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Your work is recognized and appreciated and is a vital part of making our community and our country great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johns.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Mayor Genoway, for your letters of opposing AB 647 and SB 79, which Councilmember Otto spoke about. I'm sure you're going to speak more, but thank you so much for those letters and many of the others that you've already put out on behalf of the city in opposing the Sacramento Senate and Assembly from taking away zoning and control by local government. So thank you very much for staying on top of that. Continuing on with the ABs, I want to talk about a bill, Sacramento Bipartisan Assembly Bill, AB 379. It was introduced by Assemblymember Correll. She's a prior Assistant U.S. Attorney. The original language in AB 379 would have made it a felony for predators to solicit sex from minors, including 16 and 17-year-olds. However, Sacramento Public Safety Committee Chair Schultz gutted the original intent of AB 379 to protect all minors and remove the 16 and 17-year-olds from the protection of AB 379. I believe all minors should be protected. If you feel the same, please send a letter to Governor Gavin Newsom asking him to veto the bill. It's already passed, and return it to its original intent to protect all minors from predators. I'll move on to happier stuff. May is designated the National Military Appreciation Month. This month-long observation is dedicated to honoring and recognizing the service and sacrifices of current and former members of the U.S. Armed Forces, as well as their families. I want to take a moment to thank my nephew, Gunny Sergeant Tommy Apodaca, and his family for his service to our nation, and he is currently down in Camp Pendleton, so I'm very proud of my nephew. Also, I want to take a moment to thank a veteran and longtime Laguna Niguel resident who was wounded in Vietnam and is currently recovering from an illness. John, we miss you. You're getting better. You'll be here soon, and thank you so much for your service. And to all the mothers out there, including mine, I want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day, and I hope you have a great Sunday. My wife will be flying on Sunday to D.C. to be at a memorial service for fallen officers, but we'll still celebrate. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Johns, and I'd like to thank all of you for noticing all the letters that I've been sending to Sacramento on behalf of the city to fight for local control, because while the Sacramento supermajority continues to take away our ability to govern our city, to erode local control, I don't think we should stay quiet while they do that. We need to be vocal about our rights as a city and our ability to govern our city, because I think Laguna Niguelians know best how to zone Laguna Niguel, certainly better than some state senators up in Sacramento know about Laguna Niguel. And so we are in the best possible position to know what's right for our community. And that's why I've sent letters opposing SB 79, which takes away local control and bestows that land use authority to transit agencies. I've opposed AB 647, which takes away local control so that individuals can put 8 housing units on one single family housing plot of land without any environmental review or any public input. And certainly there's been many other bills that we've been vocal on in forming our legislative platform that this council approved many months ago. And I want to echo what Mayor Pro Tem Johns said about the human trafficking bill that was in Sacramento in the so-called Public Safety Committee up in the Assembly. No, it was actually the Senate, whichever side of the Capitol it was on. It's absolutely disgusting that there were so many legislators. I think the vote was like 55 to 10. 55 legislators in the Assembly thought that purchasing a 16-year-old for sex should only be a misdemeanor and should not be a felony offense. It's absolutely offensive when you hear some of the philosophies of these legislators in Sacramento and how they view crime in California. It should absolutely be a felony. And you think back to 1 year ago with SB 1414, which was the fight to get human trafficking of a minor to be a strike offense in California. And yet that was a huge fight because initially the supermajority was totally against it in the Public Safety Committee. And then with public outcry that human trafficking of a minor should absolutely be considered a strike offense in California, finally the leadership in Sacramento relented, and that's now a strike. Well, I just heard today, and this is developing, so I don't really have all the specifics on it, but I heard today that once again the majority has relented, and they will be reconsidering making the act of purchasing a 16-year-old for sex to be a felony offense. So I'll be monitoring that as well. But I just wanted to point out some of the more interesting things that I've heard coming out of the Capitol in the last few weeks. So let's bring it back local. We've had a lot of good things in the last couple weeks. I attended the Taste of Aliso Niguel 2 weekends ago. We got a little bit of rain, but boy, was that fun. Great event held outside Webb's Grain Works in Aliso Viejo to support the students and the boosters at Aliso Niguel High School. Always one of my favorite events of the year. We had the Volunteer Appreciation Dinner, which this is the logo that we decided on for our Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. We went with a theme of Rancho Niguel, hearkening back to our rancher heritage here in Laguna Niguel, which was once Rancho Niguel. In fact, I mentioned this at the dinner. If you look at a map of the County of Orange from 1889, and you look at the area that is today Laguna Niguel, if you look at that area on the map, there's two words that overlay that area, Rancho Niguel. That was Don Juan Avila's ranch, and you'll see on our city seal and on our city flag that cattle brand that is at the bottom of our seal. It's also at the bottom of the logo that we had for our Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. That's the Rancho Niguel cattle brand. So we had a theme of the Old West. Everybody put on their boots and hats, diamond and denims, and we had a great night. If you couldn't tell, I was having a good time that night. That was a lot of fun. The food was amazing. The service of the caterer was amazing. Music. Even though we got a little rain for the first hour of it, we pivoted to indoors, and it was a lot of fun. Great event, and congratulations to Mary Smith, who was announced as the 2024 Laguna Niguel Citizen of the Year. One other item that I'd like to bring up, and you probably heard about this, is that the 270-day clock on the battery storage facility application to the California Energy Commission is beginning to tick. It started ticking, Thursday last week? City Manager Letourneau will talk more about this in a minute when I turn it over to her. But we are going to be doing lots of advocacy, lots of communication with the residents about how we can fight this battery storage facility. This is yet another example of Sacramento taking away our ability as a city to govern our city. Even though the battery facility is in San Juan, it takes away the authority of San Juan Capistrano City Council from governing their city, and this battery company has applied to the State Energy Commission, which consists of 5 commissioners, all appointed by Governor Newsom, to review this application, and if they approve it, it overrides any local control and gets implemented without any review of a city council, a planning commission, the boards that you would typically have to get approvals from. And so with that, City Manager Letourneau, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Perfect segue into my update this evening. Yes, April 30th, the clock started with the California Energy Commission and the 270-day clock on this project. So that 270 days ends approximately January 25th, 2026. And what we know so far is we've been told that towards the end of May, there's going to be a project scoping meeting on the notice of preparation on the draft environmental impact report. We have been told that that's supposed to be a local meeting. As soon as we know the date and location and time, we will share that with the public. We are also, we have a webpage dedicated to this project. We're continuing to keep that up to date. I would encourage everybody to continue to check that on a regular basis. And if anybody, we are completely and adamantly opposed to this project. We will be this entire way. And I encourage anyone who hasn't submitted a letter to the California Energy Commission, go on our website. We make that really easy for you. We have a sample letter, and you can click the link and submit it through their portal. That public outreach to the CEC is critical to this project. And I would encourage everyone to continue to follow that, and we will keep everyone updated as we learn more. The other item tonight, this is Public Service Recognition Week. It's a week that we wait for, we're excited about, and where we get to celebrate all the hard work of all of our staff and all of our partners. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say publicly to my employees, thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication. We appreciate everything that you do, all the sacrifices and all the hard work for this community, and also to our partners, Orange County Sheriff's Department and the Orange County Fire Authority, for all their hard work and partnership as well. So thank you to everybody. That concludes my report.
All right. It looks like we've come to the end of our agenda this evening. This meeting is now adjourned at 8:16 p.m. Thank you all for coming.